right. Bangers only at the top. I like it. Welcome in, everyone. Betsperts Golf. 107th PGA Championship. Major number 2 for the year. New little intro at the top. No longer says Valero Texas Open, which warms my heart. Andy, what's going on, buddy? Good to be back.
Yeah, had to fix the opener. Couldn't find the old music, so we got new music. And it's just some royalty-free guy playing some guitar for 15 seconds.
Shredding.
I like it.
Shredding.
Yeah, very different than a lot of majors. A lot of majors that aren't, the Masters. We were sitting here like, all right, we got to figure out a new course. All right, we're at Valhalla. All right, we're at LACC. We're at Troon, and we haven't, a lot of the Rota is something we've played at before. Obviously we've played next time, God, what is here? Where are we going next year? Aronimink.
Yeah.
So there has been a PGA championship there, but it was like, I think like Sam Snead won it or something ridiculous, or Ben, it was like the 50s. So sometimes it's courses we're familiar with. Sometimes it's courses we've seen in the Rota, but it's been quite a while. I don't know why I have to say Rota like that, but I do.
I like it.
So a lot of times there's a lot of research in figuring out the course. And even last week with Philly Cricket, we had to figure out a course. I think a lot of people did a pretty good job of that. It played a lot differently once we got to the weekend, and it wasn't quite so wet and easy. But this is a course we see every single year. We've seen it in this rotation before, about 7-8 years ago. We've seen it as President's Cup 2-3 years ago. And we kind of know Quail Hollow. I don't think there's a ton of mystery here. It's going to play a little differently. There's been some quotes about that as far as, they want it to be tough enough. I still think the winning score is 10 to 15 under, because there's still very scoreable 5s, a couple scoreable 4s, and enough good golfers that they're not going to just give it all back on these tough 3s. So I don't know. Where do you want to start with the research here? Do you want to look at some models? We look at the course page.
Did you see the Hunter Mahan quote this morning?
I love that. It's bookmarked. It's going in the newsletter. That killed me.
It's so good. And former Ryder Cupper, President's Cupper, multi-time winner on the tour. I believe
former golf boy.
I believe
he was in the Golf Boys.
I believe he was
Ben Crane.
I think he's a member, or if not, definitely a Carolina guy who made the comp to Quail Hollow being like a Kardashian, right? Where it's just basically presents well, but there's really no soul. I'm paraphrasing, but fantastic quote, and it's aesthetically pleasing. Of course, is gonna they do a great job. There's a reason that the tour seems to love themselves some Quail Hollow, because there's not a handful. It's like Torrey South basically and Quail that are like standard PGA Tour stops that also get mixed into the U.S. Open and PGA Championship rotation. And I think shout out to Sully, No Laying Up, did a great job, kind of I think summarizing what a lot of folks' feelings are around it. It's not even that it's a bad golf course. It's not even that it's not a difficult test of golf, especially for a major championship. We just get so much Quail Hollow that we're just kind of like mix it up. We have a lot of fantastic golf courses in this country. If we could mix it up a little bit, but still gonna be a good test of golf. Long par 71, stretch it out even a little bit more. We're over 7,600 yards from the tips. You mentioned there's just one fewer par 5, obviously, with those that par 71. A couple of shorties on the par 4 side. Those are the holes that Andy's referencing that you can score on those, along with the par 5s. Otherwise, everything else plays under par. Over par. So it is going to be a difficult test. Rory won here last year, one of his 4 wins at Quail Hollow. He got out to 17 under. But you look at guys inside the top 10, you're looking at 3 under, 4 under. So, it's not like you had a handful of guys that were in the teens and Rory won at 17. It was just kind of, Rory was the only one in the teens and just kind of went berserk on Sunday. So, it sounds like, some of the research that Ron has in his preview, which I highly recommend you check that out. There's insane amount, even for Ron's previews, which are extraordinarily detailed, the way he went up and cut up, PGA Championship and US Open data, grab some live data. There's a lot of great work in Ron's preview. So highly recommend heading over to betspertsgolf.com, checking that out. Pretty much if you can only read one thing this week, I would just read Ron's preview. They're starting with the rough at like almost 3 inches. Got a lot of rain yesterday. Then they're not cutting it. So we typically see the rough here at like 2 inches. So we're starting at a very, different point. And then they're mowing it in a different way where it's supposed to be against the grain, sort of some of, shout out to what they do at Augusta. So it should lead to even more length in terms of what you'll see rollout wise. And used to not really be much penalty, playing from the rough here. You basically been bomb and gouge with really no, penalty for missed fairways. I'm interested to see how this longer, thicker rough with some of the overseed is going to play differently, because we go back to the 2017 one that you shouted out. It was a major reno. AT won that last time we were here for a PGA championship, and that played very differently. And that leaderboard looks very different than a standard Wells Fargo championship / Truist, leaderboard. So I'm interested to see how it plays differently with maybe a little bit more of the shorter precision guys having a leg up compared to a standard PGA Tour stop here.
Yeah, I don't think it's just going to be bomb and gouge at at the top like we see at a long resort course or some of the stops we've seen over the last month and a half. Honestly, there's been a couple. I'm 50-50, kind of back and forth. I'm a fence guy on, whether tour stops should be used in the rotation for majors. I think it sucks sometimes. It's like, yeah, we see this every year. My favorite thing about the other majors is like, we're going somewhere I haven't seen this course for 10 years. We haven't seen this course ever. It's a fun one. And I know if you do that, then if you say like, all right, course stops, can't use them anymore. They're like, well, what about Pebble Beach? Well, yeah, well, that's an exception because it's Pebble Beach.
Yeah, Pebble's the
Torrey Pines. There's some West Coast courses that we do that with, where it's like, well, it's Torrey Pines, it's Pebble Beach. Like, what are we doing here? But I'm fine with it because I don't like firm and fast rules about anything. I don't know that we should go here as often as we do. It should be every like 10, 15 years instead.
It feels extra heavy because we just had the President's Cup too, right? Like that to me.
Yeah, it just went there. And it is fun. The fun part about it is getting a unique course for the Wells Fargo then, where you go play at, some other course in the area or some of the.
I loved Philly cricket. I thought
I wasn't loving it day one. I'm like, oh no, like this is going to be, I'm like, please just don't be like this all 4 days.
Yeah.
It just felt like, all right, it's soft. It's easy. It better not play like this, tomorrow. And
it didn't.
It did toughen up. So it ended up being a good course. It ended up being a good tournament. It was fun. It was a good leaderboard. You had all the chokers at the top, and good for Sepp. Good job getting another win. And the European Ryder Cup team looks like an absolute monster, as it's going to be like, hey, our 11th guy is like one of the Højgaards. Who's yours? JJ Spawn, huh? Good. Yeah. We win. Bethpage is ours. Woof. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough task.
We got to roll out Spawn and Brian Harmon at Bethpage. It's again still plus money out there on the Euros. Again, I know, we all love the Ryder Cup. We love waving the flag for the week and having all those vibes. But you start stacking those rosters, and outside of like this fact that again no one's won a road Ryder Cup since Medina in 12. It's like, all right, well. It doesn't look like there should be a plus next to the Euro side. I think Ian and I both are.
It feels like it should be flipped.
Yeah.
But back to your point about not just being bomb and gougers, because that's kind of where I started that whole diatribe, where we ended up somehow on Long Island. I agree. And looking at that leaderboard, there was some Kevin Kisner was like your round 1, round 2, round 3 leader, I believe.
Yeah, he was the leader heading into the final round.
Even when he was good, he was not, a bomber, obviously. He hits it about 230 conservatively on the TGL. So, other kind of guys can play well here. Sure. It depends on the conditions, obviously. And some grinders, guys who are really good around the green, who can manage the ball around these screens and some of the tough holes, as evidenced again by that leaderboard. I believe he was T2, and this was maybe a year short of his major win. Patrick Reed was right there. Like he was grinding his way around that course and was very much in contention. So it's a very unique leaderboard, and any leaderboard is going to look unique when you go back and look 8 years ago, because like, Jesus.
Yeah, Chris.
I forgot this guy was on tour, much less good. But that said, it sounds like the way they've set things up, they're trying to mitigate some of that, where they're mowing the rough towards the pins, where if you're long and you're not shaping it properly and you end up in a funny spot, it's going to take a funny bounce. You end up in a little bit of trouble, or it's not going to be major trouble where, hey, we're at the US Open and you just bounced into knee-high rough and you're fucked and you're maybe punching up, maybe taking unplayable. It's just gonna be a little bit of trouble. And I like that. I like mitigating some of the distance guys. I don't want to see last year's Wells Fargo. I don't want to see somebody running away. Obviously, I don't want to see Rory running away 18 under. I want a good leaderboard. I want 10 guys in the mix on Sunday. And I think that helps with that. So yeah, I think there's a couple different styles that can win here. And you still have to give it to the guys who have the combination of distance, accuracy, and good long irons, which are kind of just the good golfers. Like if you have those, you're just one of the elite at that point. So, I don't think it's worth saying, we should ignore the top of the board. But boy, it's hard to go bet a guy at like 5-1 in a 150 person field. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on me and Cal played a game last night.
Okay.
In text, and this is fun. And it was just like, you have to bet a guy. And we were just naming two people, and then it got weird from there. But Rory or Scotty, the prices are basically the same. If you had to bet it,
Rory.
The third option is death.
Rory, we have Scotty typically because, and again, like, let's be honest, there's no course on the earth that doesn't fit Scotty Scheffler.
No.
When you compare just Rory's experience here, I think based off of how they played this year, you can give Rory the slight edge. Scotty, I think obviously, a little bit more well-rounded. Scotty has only played here at the President's Cup, and that was not a great showing for him. He typically plays the Texas events. This is not a stop that he typically plays at, and then we've seen him first time at a track, maybe not as comfortable or as dominant.
He didn't score very many points. I think he was like half a point at the President's Cup. Yeah.
0-3-1. Yeah. So, and again, I don't want to, just overinflate the importance of that super small sample, but, just the course history edge, the 2025 form alone, you could make the case for Rory on any stop. So, it would be Rory over Scotty. It was a fun game.
Yeah, it was going into the Masters. We were talking about this, Drew and I, weeks before. And he said, I believe it was after the Players. He wanted me to price Scotty and Rory at the Masters. And he wanted me to price a matchup. That was way off. I was so heavy Rory compared to where the actual matchup came. And it's funny because I'm like, well, that's probably a bet then. And then I didn't end up betting it, which is annoying. Because Rory was like plus 145 against Scotty. I could have at least gotten some money out of that asshole. Yeah. But Scotty was like minus 175, minus 180, I think. Jeez. And looking at the matchup this week, and Chris, he's still a favorite, but it is a lot tighter. It's minus 134, plus 104 on the comeback. Probably still a bet on Rory.
It probably still's a bet, yeah.
I might end up taking that as a matchup bet. I like. I should go look. You know what? I'll go look at some of the ones Cal pitched at me because, boy, I didn't say what he thought I'd say, I guess, for one of these. And then there's just, honestly, our chat is just a million pictures of Patrick Reed. We're having fun with him. He used to wear a choker.
Yeah, he used to wear a choker.
Just a weird dude. Cameron Young or Will Zalatoris. Both are like 175.
Yeah, both Carolina guys too. I saw the 175s or 185s that are on Zalatoris, and I was like, holy cow. And then just went to dig in. And I'm like, there's just nothing there. I know there's like a top 12 last year at the Masters. So that's like his best finish in the last, 12 plus months or so. So I'm just Cam Young is not a guy for me. So it'd be Zalatoris.
It's like Zal by default, and it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. I wanted to have some Zal stuff. I think it'd be a real interesting long shot, but it's just not clicking. It's not clicking there at all.
The other interesting one, and this is the one where it got a little contentious. We have Brooks Koepka at about 70-1. Him or Corey Connors at 60. Connors at 60, Brooks at 67.
Brooks.
I said Connors without a doubt. Like Brooks, the only thing Brooks has going for him is he won a couple majors a few years ago. He looks like dog shit. I told him, I said, he is on the Dustin Johnson track right now, where he does not look like he gives a flying fuck about golf.
He's excited to get back to the tour.
Yeah,
that happens for him.
I think he's just in a bad place mentally, and golf does not deal with that well. If you are not in the right mindset, you go out and miss the cut at every major. Is kind of where you're at. Like Brooks feels like a 4 missed cuts kind of year right now. Like,
I don't
disagree. So bad at Augusta at some points.
He can't putt right now. The putt has really been a struggle. A lot of the ball striking has been okay. Yes, you can't really compare resumes this year and pick Bryson with a straight face, but there is something to the mental midget piece, right? Like, Sunday, one guy's been there a lot, loves it, feeds off of it, and Connors just shrivel.
I know.
If he found himself there on a Sunday afternoon, I would not feel good about it. Give me Corey on 54 holes, which is not a live joke, but it is a kind of where you would feel better about Corey. But yeah, I get your point.
I would take Corey based on Corey ends up in the second to last group and somebody screws up and hands him the trophy.
Sure,
that's how he
posts the number. Yes.
Whereas Brooks can't win because he's not playing Saturday and Sunday. Like, just fair. I don't see how he fixes his putter all of a sudden, and the rest of the game comes with it. I don't know, and it's crazy because the guy's won 5 majors at this point, and he doesn't even look good on live at some points. So, yeah, it's been a tough hang. He hasn't had a top 20 since 2023 at a major. Yeah.
I get it. People are tripping over themselves to bet him this week, and it's not for me. But I understand it, right? It's hard to not be. It's the 5 majors, and then it's a little bit of, a bunch of like top 2, top 3s where he like almost got it done. I had a ticket on him at Kiowa Island when Phil knocked him out. We have a couple other Masters really close ones. Like there's real close to having 7 or 8 there for Brooks. So fun game. One game for sure.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He has 10 top 10s in majors that that don't count as wins. Those don't count the 5
right,
wins.
Not the wins. Yeah.
It's 5 wins, 10 top 5s, excuse me. And then a T7 at the Masters, a T6 at the Open, a T6 at the Open, and a T10 at the Open. Like, he had a sick run there. But it's been very paltry of late. Do you have one? Do you have you got to come back at one here? I think you could do the chokers one. Fleetwood at 40 or Lowry at 50.
Oh,
that's another Shane one Lowry. Where it's like I don't want either. No, but the third option is death.
Yeah, it's Tommy for me, but I don't feel good about it. Be honest, we just don't get Tommy like in contention, even as much as we get Lowry in contention, right? Like Tommy did me a solid. He was my one and done pick last week. Gave me a beautiful backdoor T4, beautiful Tommy style. Okay, nice. Yeah, so that was it. I felt like I was up against a lot of Cantley chalk too, so I really needed a nice Sunday from Tommy because Cantley, I think I'd already used.
Yeah, the chalk did well. JT did well. Cantley did well. We just kind of rode the wave.
So that's why I really needed a good Tommy, and he got there for me. So,
is Tommy a choker? Or is it just?
I don't think he hasn't had the opportunities to choke as much as Shane has, to be honest. Which you should be rewarded for that theoretically, right? Shane puts himself in position to have the ability to choke away leads, where Tommy does what Tommy did here, right? It's the old Xander model. It's the backdoor top 5, top 10, no smoke on Sunday, post a score, get in. You're on the PJ before your final group even reaches 18, So yeah, it's It's
I'm
tricky.
trying to think of like maybe somebody can correct us. If you have one, hit us with it. Like I'm trying to think of like a tournament that Tommy Fleetwood legitimately was like, all right, he should win this, and then he chokes it away. Even the playoff against Taylor, that guy hit an 80-foot putt. What are you gonna do?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
sorry, like that's kind of just bad luck at that point. And yeah, Tommy hasn't been leading and then giving it away.
Yeah.
And Lowry definitely should have at least been in a playoff. It felt like
Technically, the Nick Taylor one, he kind of gave it away before they got to the playoffs. That was kind of the Tommy giveaway.
Yeah, that is fair. That's fair. It's
It's
Canadian Open though. What are you gonna do? He was on foreign soil.
Yeah. Here's one, and maybe it's easy for you. It'd be easy for me, but they're close in the odds board. I've seen some solid love for one of these two, and not the one I think we would expect necessarily. Neiman or Ludwig.
Oh man, Ludwig is out to like 30, and it feels like it
I
has
need a
to
30.
be him.
I want a 30.
So there is a 30 on Ludwig, and this is one bet I'm very tempted to make because of his course fit here, and because of how good
90%.
he can be. Like he does fit this, and he's been a little hit or miss lately.
Yeah,
but he has a win this year. He has some nice finishes this year, and if he's hitting off the tee accurately, and these plays, he doesn't have a ton of experience, obviously here. He doesn't have any experience here as a major when they ramp it up a little.
Yeah, and real quick, people want to reference, again, a limited experience, didn't play well last year at Valhalla. Remember, we were talking about like him considering surgery on his knee. He was not healthy at Valhalla, right? So I don't really care necessarily what we saw.
I don't count that as a major anyway.
It's fair.
It
took a lot of rain. I mean, it shouldn't be minus 20. I get it.
Kentucky should just stick to horse racing.
They should.
No more. I mean, you can have the Barbasol, I guess. That's fine. It's called the ISCO. Excuse me, Barbasol. No free ads. It'd be Ludwig. Neiman, we just again haven't seen it.
No top 15s in a major ever.
Just hasn't been able to come into a major event and play well enough. Whereas Ludwig, he just fits this course so well. And if he's mentally right, he should be in contention. I'm probably going to bet him. I don't have a big card. I don't have a big card right now. And honestly, I love Bryson. His number is so depressed. Can't do it. Scotty and Rory, those numbers are probably correct. So I can't do it. Justin Thomas at 20-1. I want to, but the numbers probably just
people
too
are
far
clicking it.
Point.
People are clicking it for sure.
People are clicking it, but I mean the putter's fixed. I looked at 23 and 24 as a whole. It was like 150 rounds of golf, which is a big enough sample. He was averaging like 0.3 of a stroke lost per round on the greens. That's not good. I mean, that's just how you never get to compete. If you can't at least like break even putting, you're just never going to compete. And obviously that's what happened to him. And this year so far, I think it was 40 rounds. He's gaining 0.4 on the greens. Yeah. And that includes a horrific Bay Hill, like where I think he lost like 6 strokes or something. Even with a couple of hiccups early in the year, like his putter's fixed. I get it. It's tough. I want to, but again, JT 21, Rom 21.
Yeah, I mean,
what are you doing?
Ron had a good little note
JT
too with
for me.
The trends of live guys since moving to live in their major performances, and again, small sample theater for sure, but really no one's better at majors since going to live that were based off of their pre-live baseline, right? So again, small sample, but no one's gone over there and come back better, right? Bryson's had some nice showings. There's been some missed cuts and some sprinkles in there too, but this feels like such a perfect fit for him. It's really tricky. I was on Rom at the Masters and felt like that was a good fit for him. And
I was just gonna say, I bet him at Augusta. It should have been a good fit. He's won there, and I mean, he made it to the weekend, and he put a few partial rounds together to get a respectable score.
Yeah,
but I mean, he wasn't ever a threat.
No.
And again,
Nice
I don't know where
Sunday
he's at.
finish. Yeah.
I'd probably bet JT.
Yeah, it's an interesting like top tier of, I guess, 8 guys. You can make it 9, and you're kind of on the odds board if we're getting or extending a little bit. You can get Neiman basically, right? There's those 9 guys that are basically short of 35, and then you get a tier drop basically to the best numbers of the next guys of the Cantley, Decky, Fleetwoods of the world. But this has been a spot really we seen kind of the top of the board win. The top of the board storylines here are absolutely perfect, right? Like we could have a fantastic Sunday leaderboard. Green Mile coming down the stretch, Andy. I mean, geez, just get everything we want here. But like, I mean, we know the Rory situation. Scotty just set a tour record. Bryson absolutely rolling. Rahm's kind of the lost in the sauce guy. Xander back-to-back solo seconds at Quail Hollow. Showed a pulse last week at the Truist. Obviously, we know he's the defending champ of this event. You mentioned JT. Morikawa doesn't feel like a Morikawa fit for me. I would have said the same for Valhalla. He showed up there. I would say the same for Memorial. He choked that to Scotty. I would say the same for Bay Hill. He choked that to Henley. So like, I will continue to go back to like, this is not a great spot in my mind for Morikawa. He continues to perform really well on those courses. So, maybe there's some interest. I haven't heard a lot of Morikawa talk this week, but, hanging out there at 25, and then you get down to Ludwig, who I almost clicked last week pre-shuffle at 20 because I just love the fit for Ludwig. And now I did not. And now when I saw basically no one talking about him yesterday, and I think there's just some negative sentiment around how he's played since the second, I guess, the Genesis version at Torrey.
Yeah.
I think the 28s that are out there now might continue to float towards the 30 that you're seeing there, which I'm guessing is that Streeter? Is that a like Chris, or where's the 30?
It's Chris. Chris is 30 and change.
Yeah. So it's I think you just got ahead. I mean, I think that we're getting the winner from that top group of 8 in particular. So it's tough. You're going to get some big numbers on some, viable major championship winners, got good fits that are going to be triple digits basically this event.
Yeah, let's go Masters champs. Spieth 65, Reed 80.
Ooh. Oh, that's a tricky one. Look, Patrick Reed's been playing really good golf all year. Another
kind of what I'm saying. Like
Masters bet that I had too. Yeah, it'd be Reed for me, especially at price.
Yeah, 82 and change at Chris might be bad. I don't want to take a lot of long shots. I'm in agreement with you. It feels like somebody from the top 10 names is going to win this tournament. It's a long, like we said, it's a long course. You got to be great with the long irons. Helps be long off the tee, great around the green. It's not a spot where you're going to invite a lot of variance, I think, from some of the people way down the board. And it's tough for me to get on much for long shots. So in the long shot areas, like Hatton's number isn't big enough for me. Henley's number isn't big enough for me. It's a major championship. I'd need like 150. I know we love him. Models.
He showed well too, though. It's a majors, right? We have a top 4 at the Masters, U.S. Open. He was very much in the mix.
There's just so many people to beat at a major.
I agree. Yeah, I played Minwoo at 90. Again, just with length. Great streaky spike putting. It's an option.
That was the only other name I was looking at in that range. I got Minwoo 98. Good course fit. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe the Justin Ray tweet. Maybe that's what's putting me towards a couple, because it's what was it? It would be the first time since 24. If somebody won, who already has a major win under their belt, which obviously is most of the top of the board, save like Cantley,
Ludwig,
and Luda, yeah. It would be like 4 in a row without a first-time major winner. We haven't had that in like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, that goes for Rory, Scotty, Bryson, JT, Rahm, Colin, Xander, Hideki, Lowry even. Lowry has one.
Mm-hmm.
Brooks, Spieth, Reed.
All right, we need that's a
Justin
Hovland.
Rose. Justin Rose. If you were to win it, Cameron Smith. I'm trying to think if that's it, besides like the olds.
Yeah, I think so. Wyndham Clark.
Phil at 400. If you were to win it, Wyndham Clark, good call. Missed that one.
Yep.
Gary Woodland.
Yeah, there you go.
Gary Woodland, 218 to 1. If you want to ride that, reverse that trend. Dustin Johnson, 275 to 1.
Keegan Bradley.
Keegan, 100 to 1.
Could not win.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yep. Throwing all those out. Daniel Berger's being heavily bet. He's like 70 to 1. Great comeback trail. Love him. Top 20 bet for me, I think.
Looks like a pretty big number out there in most places. DraftKings and FanDuel out there at 100. Shout out to Gambly. Great resource here to be able to shop domestics kind of in one stop. Hundreds out there on Berger. I get it, right? That's kind of the contrarian anti-distance play, right? If you said if it's going to be similar to what we saw leaderboard with Kevin Kisner's of the world, right? Just keep yourself in play, strike it well, spike with the putter. That would make a lot of sense. So that's kind of the Patrick Reed model as well. So that would be the Russell Henley case, the Corey Connors case too. Same Sepp Straka. I got Sepp at 125 before he won at the Truist. Obviously, don't feel like Sepp's winning 3 times and back to back.
Sepp Straka. I mean, if he wins it, sorry, Rory. You might not win golf for the year anymore. Suddenly it's a race. That's a fun one. Put odds on Rory to win just the golfer of the year award that they have at the end of the year. And it's like minus 500 right now.
Yeah, it's got to be solid. You got to be laying something solid right now. I mean, Pebble, Players, Masters is.
And I mean, just the weight of the career slam.
The story. I mean, Scotty's won 3 in a row. People got mad. He won the year that probably should have gone to Rahm, but they basically shoved it to Rahm because he was going to live. So
you could have made a case for Xander last year, but it was still. I mean, it still made sense. It was Scotty. So Rory's probably more like minus 750, man.
Yeah,
there's not another name right now that someone has to win multiple majors, I believe, to get in the conversation. Or it's a Sepp Slam. We had the Tiger Slam. Sepp heading into the Masters, needing it to finish his career slam, and his doing it in a row.
La Jolla, Philly.
It starts this week.
Let's go. Yeah, the Xander case last year was interesting. Pre-Olympics, pre-FedEx Cup. When Scotty kind of slammed the door there and made it interesting. All right. Yeah, let's I like, use gambling. That's a great way to look at it. I want to remind folks too, if you do not have a subscription, you should. Best deal we're going to have all year is this promo through our friends here. You can see on the site. If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. Thumbs up, subscribe, all those things. If you're listening to podcast, we appreciate that as well. You can head over to betspertsgolf.com, take a look at this BetMGM article that's on the site. Very easy for you to find. Very simple instructions in there telling you basically how to download BetMGM, promo code BetSpertsGolf, deposit and play $10. Bet on your favorite here. You're going to get bonus funds, if this is a sports book that you haven't taken advantage of. Obviously, if you can, within your means, afford to deposit more than the $10, you're going to get more bonus bets back. But just to access BetSperts Golf for free, for no additional charge, all you need to do is deposit and play $10 on BetMGM. And again, you already have BetMGM and your significant other doesn't. Great way for them to bet on the golf this weekend and watch with you and share along. And maybe they won't take advantage of the BetSperts Golf sub, and you can take advantage. If you have questions there, you can let us know. If you aren't in a legal betting state, or maybe you already have it and you can't take advantage of it, your wife already has it, your significant other already has it, you can take advantage of the Drafters deal here as well, right below it. Just 90-day sub. But again, you can get access to the entirety of our site for no additional charge. Promo code BSG. You click on these links. All of that's right in there. Very, very easy to follow. Again, if you have any questions specifically, those are the best deals we're going to have for a while. So take advantage of those to get access to the site for no. Ron's updated our course fact sheet here on BetSportsGolf.com to, play for the changes compared to what we see at Quail Hollow versus a standard tour event. You can see we're stretched out to 76 and change here. We're going to have very fast poetry of greens, very easy to gain off the tee, very driver heavy. Basically everything else from there gets difficult. Approach is difficult, greens and reg are difficult, putting, three putt, all of it is hard. I think a great week for corollary courses, Torrey South, Bay Hill, Memorial Park, which you just saw in Houston. Shout out to Minwoo Lee, Muirfield Village. I think those are all great shouts for corollary courses. Some other places that, you just want to look at, previous US Open and PGA championship stops. We're just going to have a filter in the rabbit hole soon that'll be able to have that for you. We can select just those, but Congaree, Southern Hills, Winged Foot. I think there's some other great places to take a look at guys that have played well. I modeled that personally in mine this week. You kind of see, just kind of touched on what Andy had at the top. You're going to see a lot of red other than the par fives and the short par fours. Those are your opportunities to score. Otherwise it's holding on. Green Mile here at the end has pretty significant bogey rates. If you see here, just kind of holding on to the ends. This is why I think we probably see, hopefully an interesting Sunday, some closing pin placements that are pretty interesting that can bring leaders back. Definitely take a look at this. And again, I've highlighted some of this week as well. Driver usage insane here compared to the tour average. You are, to be as driver heavy as we have, about 20% higher than a standard tour event. And because of how it's going to play, how they're going to grow up the rough here and mow the fairways and such, I think it's going to be carry distance even more than just simple driving distance as well. I don't think you're going to get much rollout. Greens and reg are hard. I think it plays even harder, especially if we're going to be playing from the rough with a little bit more rough penalty this week as well. And then approach shot distribution. This is also another massive, massive thing. Look here, you're about 16 and a half yards above a standard second shot at Quail Hollow. Could play even longer. We typically have about 47% of your approach shots coming from 175 plus. Over the last 5 years at Quail Hollow, we're about 61%. So again, pretty solid jump on those long irons. So just boiling it down to really, really keep it simple, stupid model, carry distance, long irons, putting on fast, greens that are difficult to gain. You could really build it over a simplified model this week and kind of keep yourself in the mix, right? Without having to get too crazy. Did you build a model at all, Andy, this week?
No, not yet, because I have like 3 from last year. I have one from 2023. This is kind of when we started really getting the rabbit hole. It wasn't even called the rabbit hole yet, but yeah. I have some, and it's funny. No matter what, it loves Kevin Yu.
Doesn't matter what you do.
Doesn't matter what I do. Kevin Yu is $5,800 in DFS. Kevin Yu is probably 400 to 1. He is a long shot, but all of my models from last year are, and the year before, are like Kevin Yu. It's like Scotty, Rory, can't leg you, which I think Yu have much of a shot to win this tournament this week as he does. Probably a 0, although top 5 at the Myrtle Beach Classic. He was T12 at the Valspar. He has some nice events, and it's just like
ball striking numbers are great. Yeah.
Well, it's just like, he's an elite ball striker who's putted well lately. So using some of those numbers, he shoots the top, and some of the samples are a little smaller, but really good ball striker, great approach player, good off the tee, good enough distance. So 26-year-old Chinese Taipeian. I don't know if that is how you say that, but he's from Chinese Taipei. Sounds right. Lives in Scottsdale. ASU golfer, aren't we all? I'm going to rebuild one tonight.
Okay.
That probably doesn't veer too far from what you just talked about at the same time. Like, I would like some distance. I would like some accuracy. I would like great long irons. I would get good scrambling and probably good putters on tough putting surfaces.
Yep. Yeah, I think it matters this week. I tried to keep it simple when I built the keep it simple model, but I also just, when I actually built my own, I also tried to keep it fairly light and didn't want to get too crazy. I'll show it to you. And again, if you're seeing this for the first time, you can go into the rabbit hole, obviously kick around all the statistical data that we have in here from the PGA Tour, build your own model, find what stats you think are going to matter the most, weigh them, all those different things, build your own. If that's intimidating to you, totally understand it. You can use the rabbit hole to peruse the data by itself without building any models. Great way to do it as well. And then we also have this section here where you can view expert rankings, other folks, including ourselves in the industry that do, I think, fantastic golf content. You can use and look at their models. If you happen to be well equipped in Excel, you can download any of these into a CSV, download all of them into a CSV, and then weigh them separately. And then, kind of create a wisdom of the crowd model, I think is a great way to use the rabbit hole as well. I'll show you mine. Just built it this morning. I can see here Roy at the top. Again, not Scotty in the top, which is always, Scotty in the top 3 even. Roy at the top, Ludwig second, Xander third, Bryson fourth, Scotty fifth. Here's what I did. Carry distance, straight up carry the last 2 years. Again, talked about carry over driving distance. Putting, again, kept in. These first 3 pieces are, I think, just the very, very basics. This is strokes gained putting last 2 years on spots where it is difficult and very difficult to gain. You talked about that with Ron a little bit on the Monday preview show. Touched on fast greens, and I thought he made a good point that, difficult and very difficult to gain is going to capture fast greens as well, and also maybe a little bit more inclusive. So I went with that as well. Greens and reg, a little wonky here. I went greens and reg percentage on long and very long golf courses. When greens and reg difficulty accuracy is difficult, and then it's difficult to gain on approach. So this is what I was kind of trying to find a way to do long proximity without doing long proximity, if that makes sense. So I think sometimes the proximity stuff is a little bit noisy. I kind of hate it. But I think this is a interesting, different way to kind of land in maybe the same spot. So green and reg when it's difficult to gain on approach, kind of a newer way.
Yeah, it's a good surrogate for it. And greens and reg is semi-predictive. Right. Because this is how you score.
Yeah. Strokes gained total, couple of these, obviously standard long golf courses, difficult scoring conditions. That's something that I'm weighing the most, if not more than anything else. Strokes gained total. This is where I'm looking at just the last few PGA Championship and US Open golf courses. So who's played well in the last 4 years on those tracks. And then strokes gained total on difficult par 70, par 71s. So I'm pulling out the extra par 5s. So who can play well on difficult tracks that don't offer you that extra par 5. And then looked at apex height, because I think it's kind of correlated with some previous leaderboards here, having to land a little bit higher, softer. That's but not getting the live data here, so they're getting dinged. So I'm guessing if I put this into a CSV and weight it a little bit, maybe Bryson moves a little bit closer than just 4th, because he's not getting the points there for the apex rating. Same thing for a Cam Smith, John Rahm, and Brooks are kind of next there on the board. So, that's again, not a lot of things, but just what I think matters simplistically this week. Yeah, interesting little next group of guys here too. Minwoo 6th, Cantley, Wyndham, Thomas Dietrich, which is not who I was expecting, and now I need to do a little bit more Thomas Dietrich digging, because this is of interest to me.
That's another one where he's like your 10th or 11th guy on the Ryder Cup team too.
Yeah.
And he's so good.
Bomb and putt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where he, gets it done. We saw that at in Phoenix. I mean, and look, 26 in carry distance, 7th in putting in the split. And I think has a nice showing here in previous too. I mean, some of this other stuff has bode well for him too. So Dietrich is definitely looks like a nice DFS play at 7K, and the guy that I need to do. Probably not a long shot outright bet for me, but probably a nice number at finishing position to contend.
Yeah, not to beat on that horse, but Keegan looks like he's going to suffer the same fate as the Celtics. Whereas Boston,
talk about it today.
Boston is going down in New York.
Oh gosh, dude.
Sorry about
that. I'm not ready for this.
If you don't know, Ryan is a Boston sports fan.
Yeah, Celtics are the only team I still really, really care about, because I don't do any, I don't do any basketball content. Yeah, dude. And Tatum, I ride hard for Tatum. I do not understand the negative Tatum discourse. I'm mentally, emotionally struggling today to to see my guy go down like that. So, and then to lose to the Knicks, who just I don't think are very good, and I hate it. I hate it so much. It's really painful.
Knicks almost lost to Detroit, man.
I know.
They're playing a lot better. The Knicks are playing very good basketball right now, but
they are
sorry,
good enough to get good enough to go down by 14 plus in every single game. But yeah, hey, wins are wins.
It's a game of runs. Sorry to steer it that way. Closing. Have you made any bets? I have not, but I have 4 guys highlighted on Chris. I'm going to open 3 other books just to make sure I can't get better lines on them, and that's probably my card.
I made some long shots. I made actually a bunch of long shots, and actually this spit out some good stuff for me too that I feel really good about. I mentioned Minwoo, and I think I got him at 96. I bet Wyndham Clark, who's not playing really good golf, but
he did not look good last week.
He did not. No, but the numbers. Triple digits, and Wyndham's got home for me before triple digits. 1 here. The vibes are good. I talked about the SEP number. I also bet Max Homa at 200-1, who showed a pulse last week. Talked about some change in the setup and ball position of the driver, and it showed up off the tee at the Truist. He's come to Quail Hollow in pretty poor form last year and finished T8. He's got back-to-back T8s here. This is the home of his first win.
Remind me how he played at the Masters.
T12.
Yeah, it was like maybe a little bit of a understated headline because obviously there was a massive headline at the end of the Masters, but that was kind of the bugaboo coming in. Never done it. Never never competed, never even looked good or okay at a major. And he was pretty decent at times at Augusta.
So, I think it's just trending, right? We're talking about a guy at 200-1. I'm not making the case for, Max Homa at 50-1, where he used to go off the board for majors before he got lost in the wilderness here. But I think he's coming in with a little bit more confidence where he seemed lost and, again, bombed. So not really viable. The only real bet that I've made towards the top is Bryson at 14.
A really good number.
Not a big Bryson guy, but 14 felt like, it just felt like it was going to shift to where it is now. I know some folks have even better numbers. I've been swimming around both. I can't really decide. Ludwig and Xander. I think I might just bet them both, Andy. I got a little set money from last week again. So riding a little bit heavy. So, I might take a shot and have kind of those sprinkling of bombs and go, what is 2, 3, 4 in my model. The only other one I'm even considering that's even kind of in that middle mix is Hovland, mostly because I just would have some FOMO if Hovland was in the mix and I didn't have it. But I've gone from trying to decide between Ludwig and Xander, and I think I might just fire at both now that this Ludwig number is floating out where that is a little bit more palatable from a units allocated standpoint. So it's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm joining you on Minwoo, and I'm going to join you on Abear. Ludwig is 30 still at Chris. I doubt I'm going to find a better price than that. Justin Thomas, 21.50. Minwoo, 98. We'll see. I'm going to pull up a couple other books and see if I can get a better number. If I can, I'm still comfortable with that. Then Patrick Reed, 82. 2 long shots. I want 2 feasible guys and 2 good course fits at longer prices that I'm going to bet. And congrats to, Scotty, Rory, or Bryson at this point.
I know.
I'll probably, and then, that, like I said, there's a few guys I'm going to look at for top 20 bets. Henley, top 20. Connors, top 20.
Sure.
Maybe, man. And maybe like Cantlay, Fleetwood, top 20, top 10s, looking at what, depending on prices at those points, but gonna have some positional stuff and then some matchups. Like I said, I'm probably gonna play Rory as a dog over Scotty. I understand the historical context, and that's a market. I mean, that price is up right now, and you can bet, oh man, he's plus, it's gone the other way since we've been on the air.
Wow. You
can bet 10,000 on that matchup right now. And I think there's rebets. Like somebody could multi-click that at Chris if they wanted. Pinnacle, it's a major. Like they're going to take money on this. So
for sure,
the market is not immature at this point, and it's still Rory plus 111. So probably a matchup right off the bat too.
I need your one and done takes. I think it's a really interesting one and done week, right? We have some, we're probably going to see as good or as big of chalk as we've probably seen all year. Feels like
Oh, yeah.
everyone wants to click Bryson.
Bryson is going to be so chalky. So if you're leading and you're near the top and you want to just ride with that wave, I don't know that there's a world where Bryson pisses this away and doesn't play very well and is outside the top 10. I think if you're leading, you ride the chalk and you go with him. Or if you saved Rory up, it's such a good fit.
Yeah.
I think, people who are doing well or who are, right inside the money, you can probably just ride that Rory and Bryson chalk and take one of them. Obviously, I think despite how good of a fit Rory's going to be, Bryson is probably chalkier because it's a major and you don't get a lot of bites at the apple with him. But like we said, this is a spot maybe where you can go a little further down the board. It's tough to say like take a big price on a big guy.
No,
you don't get extra. You don't get extra points for that in one and done.
No.
It's not like, oh man, yeah, I'm the only guy who picked Tony Finau at 145 to 1. Like, well, that was a stupid risk. And you got lucky. Yeah. Like, I don't think you can go too far down. If you have Rahm available, if you're a chaser and you need to go away from the chalk and you have Rahm available, Rahm's a very viable option. If you have Cantlay available, that's about as crazy as I'd get.
Yeah, I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't slip out of the top 8.
He feels like he's his ceiling is top 10 though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Ludwig. Like if you can't go chalk, you feel like you can't go chalk and you got to get unique. It's probably Ludwig, Rahm,
Xander for me.
Yeah, maybe JT, but I feel like he's going to be used as well. Although
I think JT, yeah. I think it's probably some order of like Bryson, Rory, Scotty, JT as your top 4. That's why I think I think the Rahm call, it's good. I would say the same for Xander, right? We have, pretty immaculate course history here. Looks pretty good at the truest. Can distance, long irons, great putter, right? Like that was the case for Xander last year. It's like, hey, of the elite guys, he's the best putter too, right? Now he's added this distance. He's always been the best long iron player, like him and Scotty. So, I think Xander's a great mix. That's why I would love a 25 to bet on him, but I'll definitely bite at 22s that are out there. But yeah, he would be my favorite. Like you're kind of chasing and, maybe you use Bryson at the Masters or something or whatever. And I don't love him at Oakmont as much as I, would love some of the other guys. But again, knowing that you're looking 40-50% Bryson this week for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, that could be, we could see a double. We could see Patrick Reed winning here and Oakmont. It's a good fit for him.
Okay. What's the odds there?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. When I write my one and done article, I usually write the headlines first, the headers of like things I'm going to look at. And obviously I'm going to look at like, cut making and top 5, top 10 percentage, but I'm planning on building a mini model with like 2 stats for long driving and good long irons, putting those together and see who places well there. Par 5 scoring, because you can't win if you don't score, and you're going to have to score on these par 5s. And then I put it as par 3 management.
Okay.
Which is probably going to be just like looking at places where par 3s are tough. And I haven't decided what stat I'm going to use for that yet. But I mean, a lot of the names we've listed, they're long off the tee. They have good long irons. They're going to score on 5s because of those things. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to veer very far off the guys we said anyway. But I do like to dig into some of the stats on the rabbit hole.
Didn't listen to anything you just said. I was just envisioning you with a choker. I think you could pull it off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. God, he used to dress weird.
What would you
I blame Justine. I don't think I'd have the charm. I would just be like the braided,
like the old school braided one.
Yeah, it just looks like a tribal tattoo on your neck, man.
Okay. Yeah, you can pull that off, I think.
Me and Patty, old Justine. It's been a while. Used Golf Facts. I haven't seen a lot of her.
No one's even dusted that account off for a while, but yeah, I mean, he's interesting. I mean, I'll probably have some sort of read, whether it's a positional bet or, put him in a decent amount, maybe overweight on DraftKings this week for sure. There's definitely something there. He's playing some pretty good golf. So that's all I got, buddy. Let's go win.
Yeah, let's call it. Good luck to if we have a first-time winner, obviously we hope it's Ludwig.
Mhm.
If you have thoughts, concerns, questions, comments, or a sneaky long shot that you love, leave it in the comments on the YouTube. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. If you listen in podcast form, you can hit us up on Twitter at AndyMSFW, at RY Noonan, at BetSperts Golf. We'll see you guys next week for